Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would show you all a few plant-based recipes that I use a lot of the time for breakfasts. Today we're going to be making some delicious muesli, which is very popular in our household. Another thing I'm going to be cooking today is banana pancakes, but I'll show you the base recipe so then you can actually make it whatever type of pancake that you want. Like if you wanted blueberry or just vanilla pancakes or even chocolate pancakes, you have a base recipe. I've decided to use bananas because, as you can see, I have some bananas that are a bit overripe and I need to use them. The last thing I'll be making today is some porridge because it's very easy, very quick to just whip up in the morning, and it's also very affordable because it's just mainly made of oats and plant milk. I've got all the ingredients out that I need for the muesli. So the first thing with muesli is we're going to preheat the oven to 180 degrees. I'll pop up what that is in Fahrenheit, and while that's heating up we're going to mix all the ingredients together, and I'm just using a big stainless steel bowl. You'll have to excuse if I don't measure things very well. I'll try to measure things today because I don't usually measure things a lot, but just for you guys I will attempt to. So I'll get out some measuring cups. So we're going to start out with some plain rolled oats. Now I'm going to use about half this container. I think that this jar is, I think it's almost half a kilo of oats, but anyway. I use about half of this container, so probably about 3 cups, maybe 4. Oops. Last time I made this, I did use quick oats, which are just like rolled oats, except they're just cut smaller. And that worked really well. I think I might actually do like 3.5 cups. Very messy. So 3.5 cups of oats. Then I add some sultanas. I'll probably only add maybe half a cup of sultanas. It depends if you like sultanas or not. There is quite a few fruits that I'm putting in this, dried fruits. So I'm going to be putting currants, sultanas. These are Australian sultanas, and I've just got these organic golden berries. I actually forgot. I nearly put the fruit in now. Last time I made it, when I cooked in the oven with the fruit already mixed into the rest of the batter, I just found that they like burnt a little bit, and so I was gonna put them in after this time because I think that that might make them taste nicer. And these golden berries, like, they expand in the oven and they just like blow up to like these big balloons, like about this big. And they look quite funny, but anyway. So I'll actually put these in last. So next what we're going to do is I've got some raw buckwheat here. If you don't have raw buckwheat, that's fine. It's not essential. I mainly grab a whole different like nuts, seeds, and this is a seed, I think. And I just sort of chuck them in. Sort of whatever you have in your pantry. So I'm going to do about half a cup. Just less than half a cup. Just under half a cup. I don't want to overdo it. Now I'm going to put in some sesame seeds. I'm going to put probably a 1/4 cup of sesame seeds into the batter because I like sesame seeds. They are delicious. Next I'm going to put some chia seeds. We're also going to add some pumpkin kernels or pepitas, depending on what you call it. And then we're going to add in some nuts. So for chia seeds, I would do probably about 2 tablespoons. I have got a tablespoon here. I'll be good. So 1 tablespoon. Good tablespoon. I'm going to do 3. Oops, I didn't spill it all over the floor. Now that we've got 3 tablespoons of that. So with the pepitas, I'm going to also put about a 1/4 cup. And I just, yes, I put my fingers in everything. I think 1/4 cup's pretty good. A little bit more. 2 1/4 cups. 1/4 cups. So I put in a half a cup of pepitas. That does not seem like half a cup. Oh well. I do like to put cinnamon in mine, but if you don't like cinnamon, that's fine too. I will actually measure this because normally I just like to tip it in. So probably, this is a teaspoon, that's I guess a heaped teaspoon. I don't like to overdo the cinnamon, but we like cinnamon in this household. Okay, I'm gonna go 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Okay, next we've got some sunflower seeds. And I'm probably also going to do a 1/4 cup of sunflower seeds. I like my muesli to have a lot of crunch. This is a toasted muesli, so I do like the crunchiness, and it's just so good. Just like, oh, yeah, that was probably good. Yeah, so just a 1/4 cup of those. So I'm going to do 1/2 cup, a very messy 1/2 cup of coconut flakes. I really like coconut flakes. I just like also having different textures and sizes of things in muesli. I think that really makes a muesli. Then we got our 2 nuts. I love pecans. I haven't tried it with pecans, but I bought some pecans last week and I thought, why not? And always I'll pop some almonds in there. You can just buy almonds pre-chopped, but I find it's cheaper to buy raw almonds and then I cut them up myself. So I'm probably going to use 1 cup. I'm going to start with 1 cup, and if I need more, then I will need more. I'm going to get a knife. I actually sharpened this knife this morning. So I just roughly chop them, but you do whatever you want. And you can put whatever nuts you want. I just like almonds, and almonds are also a cheaper nut other than peanuts, which are the cheapest in Australia. I don't know about other places. So now that we've got the mixture all mixed, other than the fruits, because we're gonna add them later, like I said, after we cook this in the oven. So the next step then is I'm just gonna get a small frying pan. There's a chia seed stuck to the bottom. Small frying pan. And so we're gonna make the sauce for this. And the sauce binds it all together just so that it bakes really nicely and comes out like a really nice crispy look. In our sauce we're going to have coconut oil. I only have a little bit left, but that's about as much as we need. I'd say that's going to end up being about a 1/4 cup probably. And by the way, this muesli makes enough for 1 large jar, and it's probably pointless telling you how long it lasts in our household because I live with 3 teenagers who eat a lot of food. So we're going to get our coconut oil. This is going to be fun to get out. I need a long spoon. Okay, I'll get a long spoon to just get it out. We are going to cook this on the stove to melt it. Get it out. I'm just going to get a spatula. I cannot find my spatula. This is a problem. Found it. Just use a spatula to get all of the excess because I don't like to waste things. Alright, I think, oh, a bit more. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of vanilla essence. I don't know about you guys, but I usually just use the cap to measure vanilla essence. For this particular one, that was 1 cap. I'm going to use 3. Yeah, I think I'll use 3 caps of vanilla essence, and it tastes so good. So now I'm going to put some maple syrup in. I usually put about a 1/4 cup, which is this little one here. If you don't have maple syrup, you can use agave syrup. It looks good. I nearly tipped it out. So that's pretty much all that goes in our sauce. Then I'm going to put it on the stove. Now that this has simmered for 2 minutes, we're going to pour it into the rest of the dry mixture. I'm going to grab my sultanas. I'm going to measure about a cup. And you got to do this pretty quickly before the sugar syrup solidifies. It happens when it cools down. About a cup and like a 1/4. Yeah, 1 1/4 cups of sultanas, because we like sultanas. Currants, I'm going to do 1/2 cup. Now I have ripped this container. About 1/2 cup. Then I've got these golden berries, which I'm also going to do 1/2 cup. Then I'm just going to grab my spatula and I'm going to try and sort of mix all that in. Try not to spill them everywhere like I'm doing. So now that that's all mixed, we're going to put it in a tray and then pop it in the oven. After about 15 minutes, we're actually going to take it out, mix it around, and then put it back in for another 10 or so. Just grab out some baking paper and just line the tray with baking paper. We're going to get our mixture and we're just going to pour it in. Just going to get my spatula. So I'll just push it to the edges so that we get it sort of as flat as possible. So I just sort of make like little wells, I guess, with the spatula. I find it just helps it cook a bit more evenly. Once that's done, we're going to pop it in the oven. While that's in the oven, we're going to get started on making the pancake batter. So I'm just going to get out a bowl. We're just going to start off with some plain flour. We're making 2 to 3 servings depending on how many pancakes you eat in the serving. To do that, I usually start with 2 cups of plain flour. Very accurate cups. Two. Most pancakes, when they're not plant-based, will have eggs in them. Instead of putting eggs, a plant-based alternative is we actually use flaxseed meal, and about 1 tablespoon represents 1 egg. Normally for 1 serving, I'm making 2 servings, but for 1 serving it's normally 2 eggs. So it's going to be 2 tablespoons of flax meal. Since I'm making 2 serves, it's going to be 4 tablespoons of flax meal. I have pre-added water into this bowl. 3, 4, sorry, I can't like talk and count at the same time. 4. The ratio of flaxseed to water is 3 to 1. Well, 1 to 3. So you have 1 tablespoon of flaxseed to 3 tablespoons of water. And I measured the water out before, just because it'd be a bit annoying watching me go to the sink. Now I'm just going to get a fork and just mix that up. This will thicken into a sort of egg jelly-like consistency after about 30 seconds to a minute. And yeah, I don't think it's too expensive, but the other thing is you buy some and it lasts a really long time because you only use it a tablespoon at a time. But I think this has lasted almost a year. To make the pancakes rise, we need some kind of rising agent, so we're going to use baking powder. Because in breads they use yeast, we're going to use baking powder. The ratio for baking powder to flour is 1 heaped teaspoon, like that kind of heaped teaspoon, to half a cup of flour. So since we have 2 cups of flour, that's going to be 4 teaspoons. 3. Oh, I also add about a half a teaspoon of salt. So this is just to make the base recipe. So maple syrup, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons. Oh, okay. And vanilla essence, I'm just going to add 1 large cap of vanilla essence, because I love vanilla essence. Now I'm going to use soy milk because I find soy milk is very good in recipes and in cooking. I'm not so much a fan of it in like tea or coffee. I don't drink tea or coffee. In my cocos, I don't know, it just has a different flavor, I guess. I don't actually measure the milk because I sort of just go with the consistency. I'm going to go with half a cup to start off with, but I think I will need more. So just mixing that half a cup in. With pancakes, I'm also a little bit weird, and I like to add some pepitas, just because I like them and they're very healthy. I just add a sprinkle, or about a tablespoon if you like to measure things. And then I do like to add chia seeds as well, about the same amount. Just going to tip it. Yep, so I am going to need to add more milk. I'm just going to add another half a cup. So far we've added 1 cup of milk. I still think we will need more. I'm going to add the flax. So if you see now, the flax is sort of a, I don't know, it's like a gloopy consistency. It smells kind of, I think I just put it on my nose. So I'm going to add the flax in. We're also going to mix that in. I'm going to add another half a cup of milk. This will be 1.5 cups of milk so far. I think that might actually be enough. I know I'm using the most pathetic spoon to stir this and it's not working. No, 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 no. These spatulas, you can't buy them anywhere, unfortunately, but my sister, she made them for me as a birthday gift and I love them. I'm trying to transfer out of plastic because I don't think it's very good for you. And if you look at some of the plastic serving utensils and stirring utensils, no, I think I will need more milk, but I won't need 1/2 cup. I'm gonna measure up 1/4 cup more. You still want a bit of a gloggy consistency. As I was saying with the plastic serving utensils, I think over time the plastic peels off, and I don't know if anyone else notices that. I feel like, well, if there's like little bits of plastic like breaking off, that means I'm eating it. Like, ew. That can't be healthy. So that is your baseline batter. So to this you can add whatever you want in the way of flavor. So at the moment these are just plain pancakes. So to this you could add cocoa, you can add some blueberries if you really want to make blueberry pancakes. But I'm going to make banana because, as I said before, I have bananas that need using up. So now I'm just going to mash my bananas. Per serving I usually have 1 banana. So because it's 2 servings I'm going to have 2 bananas. I do have a compost that I put all my scraps into, and then it decomposes and I add it back into the garden. I may do some gardening videos later, but at the moment I haven't developed very much in the way of gardening. Because, you know, like buying plants. Money. I use a fork to then squash the banana. I do like my banana pretty chunky, so I don't squish it too much, or you can blend it if you really want it nice and smooth, but I like the little banana chunks, so I'm gonna leave it pretty roughly squished. So it's now been 15 minutes, so I'm just going to take, does anyone know this problem? Okay, just gonna take that out of the oven, and then I'm going to mix it just so the muesli underneath gets on top and then it's able to cook properly. I'm just going to put it back in the oven. Same temperature, 180 degrees Celsius. This time I'll probably only put it in for about 10 minutes. If it needs more, I'll add a little bit more later. I'll just mix this batter together now with the banana that's just been put in. It should be pretty gluggy. Yeah, look at that chunk. And I like to add a little bit of cinnamon. So I'm just going to add a little bit of cinnamon. A little bit more cinnamon. For now, I'm going to set that aside. And I'm just going to get started on the porridge so that way I can put them both on the stove at the same time. For the porridge, this is going to be blueberry and apple flavored. But I'll also add some kiwi fruit at the end. Kiwi fruit's very high in potassium and I need more potassium than most, so I like to have kiwi fruit. But you can have whatever fruit you want on the top. Grab your oats. These again are just rolled oats. 1 cup makes about 1 large serve. Usually like 1/2 cup is enough for me. When I make it for like Mitch, I make a full cup. Then I add my soy milk. So I add 1 cup. I think the ratio is 1 to 3. Yep, so I'm gonna add 3 cups of milk. And this again is just the soy milk. I'm also going to add some maple syrup. I don't put very much maple syrup, but I'm just gonna use the cap here. And I'm just gonna add 2 capfuls, because I think that will be plenty. I'm going to sprinkle a few blueberries. I just realised that I forgot to put the pecans in the muesli. That's fine. I'll put pecans in the porridge. We're just making this up as we go along. So about 1/2 cup of pecans, or whatever other nut you like. Often we use walnuts, just like the other nuts that we used before. I'm just going to roughly chop them. I love pecans. They remind me of my grandma's house. when I was younger, because she actually had pecan trees and I would just go around and eat all the pecans, and it was so good. Just because I'm gonna add in a capful of vanilla essence. Porridge and the pancake batter is at the stove, but I'm just going to get the muesli out of the oven because it's been another 15 minutes, so it should all be cooked really well through. And when we get it out, we're going to mix all of our dried fruit into that. I actually burned my finger when I last took it out of the oven.
Oh no.
So now I'm using my left hand. This happens every time. Just turning the oven off. We're going to take this over to the breadboard. So one of the important things when you make toasted muesli is that you have to let it cool completely before you put it in the jar, because otherwise there's still steam from it, and when you put it in the jar it actually gets caught in the jar, and so it will go soggy and it won't have that really nice crunch when you have it. So now that that's just coming out of the oven, while it's still hot, we're going to mix in dried fruit from before. So as a butter alternative, I use Nutritious, but there's plenty of different plant-based alternative butters that you can use. This is just a cheaper one that I use, that I like. I do probably prefer the one that you can get that has olive oil in it, like it's the main ingredient, the main oil used in it, rather than this one, which I think has, it says vegetable oil, but I think it's probably canola oil or something, which I don't think is as healthy. But this is what we got, so this is what we're going to use for now. So I probably, in the pan, put about 2 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon, 2. Just going to need to turn this on. I turn it on to high heat, just so it heats up. And once the butter's melted a little bit, then I actually turn it down and we'll add the mixture. For the porridge, I'm just going to put that on a high heat because we want that to start boiling. And once that started boiling, we'll turn it down to simmer for about 15 minutes. Once they've got a fair amount of bubbles around the edges, and you can see that the colour's changing slightly around the edges, you can lift up a corner and see that it's cooked. So I'm just going to flip these over. So now that a lot of the excess has boiled off and it's really thickened, we're going to take the porridge off the heat now. So now that the muesli is done and the porridge has been transferred to a bowl, it looks so good. I'm just going to transfer the muesli into the jar, and I should have a funnel for this, but I'm going to use my hands because I don't have a funnel. I need to get one. So I'm just going to do that. And there you have it, a complete and full jar of muesli. And there you have it, 3 plant-based breakfasts for any day of the week, or even brunch or afternoon tea. They're delicious and nutritious, and you can never go wrong with a meal of one of these. So please subscribe and like this video, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.